Okay, we are live for episode 5 of People and Planets, and we have Molly today. So, Molly, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get started.
Okay.
Can you see the charts here?
I can.
Very good. So, let's put yours in.
Okay.
Molly, when's your birthday?
It is October 30th, 1983.
What time?
11?
In the morning?
Yes.
And where?
Edina, Minnesota.
Edina.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't spell. Oh, I did. Edina. Okay.
Edina. Edina.
Got it. Perfect. 25 degrees Sag rising.
Yep.
Very good. Okay, Molly, so tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I am. Where do you start?
Right.
I'm a 42-year-old. Um, let's see. I'm a mother of 3 girls, ages 15, 12, and 10. I've been divorced since December of 2022. And I am in a very so December of 2022 to their father that I was with for about 13 years. It should have been probably like maybe a fling, and it turned into basically a lifetime with this man, who is a wonderful person, but very cursed with addiction and extremely dysregulated, has a hard time just kind of functioning. So I would say the past since 2023, I've been on a pretty intense healing journey from a lot of toxicity, and definitely probably pretty apparent in my chart, but I stayed too long. I compromised too much, and I hoped that this person would kind of turn into his potential, which is just kind of silly saying that now. But I think it really propelled me into so much growth that and lessons that I had to learn. So that's a big chunk and a huge part of my life, and something that I'm still dealing with because I have to co-parent with him, and he continues and has continued to like relapse and things like that. I also am 2 years sober myself. That's a big part of my story. I was a kind of like a big drinker and stuff when I was younger. I found alcohol when I was probably like 15 and 16, and it was kind of like, oh my God, where has this been my whole life? Like, I don't have anxiety. I feel like I can be who I want, do what I want. I have like that confidence that I never felt like I could have, and that freedom and that expression. And so I really chased that alcohol. That was a huge part of my life until it couldn't be any longer because it was creating a lot of difficulties personally and with relationships. And so I got sober I started getting sober, and I got fully sober when I was 25. And that's also when I kind of, in a sense, I think, switched to my addiction of my ex. And that's when I met him. And
Wait a minute, just a moment.
yep.
Because you told me that you got fully sober at 25, but earlier you told me that you've been sober since 2 years.
Yeah. So I was sober from age 25 for 11 years, and I relapsed right. Well, I decided that I had done enough therapy and enough work, and I had gotten rid of all of my like childhood stuff that would cause me to black out and stuff like that. So then I decided to start drinking, I believe in February of 2019. And then, no, February of 2020. And then and then it was COVID. So I basically, that's when I started drinking again. And I didn't black out as much anymore. And I used it as a lubricant for numbing because I was very unhappy in my marriage. I was trapped. I had no idea what to do. I was extremely lost, extremely broken, I was about 80 pounds heavier. And so I started drinking then, and then, kind of a long story short, that COVID became kind of the marking of a lot of things. I started grad school in May of 2020. Me and my ex sold our home in July of 2020 to move to Florida. That was kind of my last ditch effort because that's where he's from. And okay, if he's there, then maybe he'll be okay and things will be okay. So it took us another year or so, but basically we moved 7 times in 3 years. And I ended up getting divorced in Florida from him, and moved back to Minnesota in May of 23. Found, I'm just going to be really quick. I found cocaine, and that brought me really quickly. I had about a year of cocaine and alcohol, and I went to treatment in February of 2024 when my life had completely fallen almost apart. I asked for help, and I was able to go to treatment for a month, and that has really been the beginning of this chapter. So yes, I'm just about I'm 2 years sober this round, and I was about 11 years sober. So um, that is the distinction, I guess.
Okay. Mhm. So, mhm. So alcohol was a big thing for you, the bottle.
Yeah, it was. It
Were
yeah,
you
it just
known for being an alcoholic? Did it
um
affect you how people saw you or how you interacted with people?
I would say I had a really I was able to function like outside, you know. So I don't think I was like known as like this like alcoholic, like the typical alcoholic. I didn't lose jobs. I went to grad school. I had raised 3 kids. I had a home. I never lost. I wasn't like one of those down and out alcoholics. I would say mine showed up obviously with closer relationships. Um, and that's kind of what got me sober the first time, was just like I was scared I would black out a lot more when I was younger. And then my second stint was I would say maybe I was known to have a problem for sure. Um, but it's like I have this like my stubbornness, my guilt just propelled me to like fool people too, into not knowing how bad it was. Um, and like I said, like I kept my jobs, I paid my bills, I functioned barely. Um, but like my
Mm-hmm.
kids were affected
Okay.
by. me and stuff. And, mhm.
Uh-huh. Okay, was it also like really hard for you to like make sense of the world? Because when I imagine being drunk all the time or being drunk
Uh-huh.
frequently, it's almost like it's harder for me to understand what's happening around because I'm always kind of not fully in my body.
Yeah.
So I would imagine it's hard for you to like talk to people or you avoid talking to them or something or you have to come up with a face like be very controlled.
Yeah. Um, I think that what alcohol helped me do is not absorb so much of the world. Like I'm a very big absorber of everything, of everybody's energies, of every single shift in dynamic. I look at somebody and I work, this has been my work as a social worker and a therapist that works with people who are in pain or who are struggling, is like really having like energetic boundaries. And before I knew how to do that like I do now, or I'm always going to be working on it. I think that alcohol and drugs or whatever just really helped kind of numb that part of me so I could just kind of just be not absorbing people's it blocked me, which is alcohol does, it blocks you from your spirit. So I think that's kind of, if that makes sense, that's kind of how I used alcohol, is really just to numb myself. I didn't drink like, well, towards the end I was drinking during the day. Um I would say the majority of my drinking, I was like after work, and but it definitely started creeping into more, there was no kind of boundary of when I was drinking and when I wasn't, and I started like drinking to feel better and stuff like that. But yeah, I would say that it cut me off from relating to the world, and that's kind of what I was using it for. And then it, yeah, became like I had like shame, tons of shame because I was like not myself. I was not present. I felt horrible about myself. And I may or may have been either buzzed or, you know, recovering from alcohol. It was just constant, so that definitely does not help you relate to the world. And it made me extremely anxious about everything all the time, too, because my chemicals were all out of whack. And yeah. And then bring in the cocaine
Okay,
and yeah, go ahead.
Okay, and then so obviously you were getting that coke through dealers, so kind of having back channel conversations.
Yeah.
Or okay.
I'm sorry, what?
So there's a few things that come up for me.
Mhm.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep. Hmm.
Okay. So I'm gonna show you what comes up first, and then we're gonna sort
Hmm.
of work through all of it little by little.
Okay.
Because as you're very new to me, right? I'm still finding my way around your chart, trying to understand what's happening. So the first thing I want
Yeah.
to point out to you, I'm gonna just reduce it down to the moon and Neptune. And what I want to point out to you about this part of your chart is that the moon is at 27 degrees and so is Neptune. So the trine is exact. And the moon is more about how you feel on the inside. It's your inside world. So what's happening inside your body, inside your mind, the place that other people don't have access to, right? Because it's your internal sense of self, the one that reflects. And you can see that your moon is in exact aspect with Neptune on the ascendant. And so that you're constantly drunk or high, except for a few years. Well, actually, quite a few years that you maintain
Yeah. A lot of
sobriety.
years. Most of my years. Yeah. Hmm.
But still, there was a lot of drunkenness, right? So a
Hmm.
lot of fog, a lot of confusion, a lot of being
Yeah.
lost. That is how I imagine it, right?
Yeah.
And so that you have that constant
100%.
experience for me is the moon Neptune. The moon is
Hmm.
also about your children, and it's also about your spouse, and it's also about your family, right? So everyone that's very close to you. So I don't know exactly what happened with your kids. I guess we're gonna get to that, or maybe not. We'll see.
Hmm.
But there, I feel the moon Neptune, right? Or your husband. You said that he struggled with alcohol or with
Drugs.
addiction. Like
Mm,
drugs. Okay, so
mm.
forever, right? So it's
Yep.
always the same conversation, isn't it? Or it's always like being around someone that's kind of high.
Yep.
And then, of
No,
course, not being able to trust them.
never trusting.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And you never know what they're going to tell you next or where they've been or what you're going to find out or what how they're going to show up, right? And the embarrassment also of being around them and their kids being around. Um, yeah, so there I feel the moon Neptune. But the other part that comes up very strongly is your stellium in the 10th house. So the 10th house, I'm still trying to understand what's happening there. Again, I don't know you too well. But what I want to point out to you is, first of all, you have the Sun and Mercury exactly conjunct at 6 degrees, 41 and 42 minutes of Scorpio, and they're also exactly conjunct Saturn. So I would say that these three are going to be the dominant experience for you in life, just because the sun is about your life, what it looks like on the outside, what are the things that you're
Right.
doing, right? And the Mercury Saturn conjunction for me is the point where, first of all, you're drinking all the time, and so you're kind of not normal, and like you said, it makes you anxious all the time about everything. Right, so there
Yeah.
I feel the energy of Saturn because your sun is
Yeah.
conjunct Saturn. So all the time, feeling embarrassed, feeling ashamed, feeling like you're not good, feeling like you have to hide things and you
Yep.
can't open up, you can't connect, you can't tell people, you can't show anyone.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, so there's the Sun, Mercury, Saturn in
Yep.
Scorpio. So the Scorpio also makes me think about, because it's a water sign, right? So all the drinking,
Yeah.
right? There's bottles all the time. You're talking about alcohol all the time. I guess you're also
Thinking about
going
it.
out to the bars or thinking about it, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. But okay, so you've gotten sober in the past couple years. All right.
Hmm.
Um, let's get back to that in a moment. Actually, my mind is going towards your social work.
Hmm.
How long have you been a social worker?
I graduated in May of 2023 with my master's in social work. And so I've been working as a social worker for what, 3 years almost. Um, Prior to that, I was in like I've just always done kind of super safe, like social services work. Like so I was in like child support, like I've always worked for the government. And but I think I had like this crisis, like I need to I'm it's like this is the jumping off point. I need to either do something. I'm either gonna get stuck in this like kind of like trenches type work where it's like it's easy, but it's like it's not fulfilling. And I have everybody that I've every approach to every job that I've taken has always been like with more of like that social work, like environment, person and environment lens. Like it's just very natural to me. And so it just felt like the next logical step um, to do
So
that.
the first
And
the
mhm,
first thing I want to point out, and now I really
yeah,
am gonna we're gonna go into detail about your work because this is really interesting for me. And I think it's going to be very easily illustrated in your chart. But the part that you said, you've always worked safe and in the for the government, right? The government is Saturn. And the government obviously has very strict rules that you have to follow, including getting a master's. Or, like you
yep,
said, you're playing the game of the Western
yep,
system and you're getting
yep,
your certification, right?
yep, yep.
So, the fact that in your work, to do your work, there's so much of that, there's requirements involved.
I hate it.
There's the Saturn in your 10th house,
Yeah,
conjunct the Sun and Mercury, and they're so close. So that would be
yeah,
like an absolute fixture of your everyday life.
yeah.
So can you tell us more? Like, can you give an example of what it is to be a social worker? What is one situation that you've worked on?
Oh my God. I mean, I work with homeless veterans, so I'm there. There's millions of different situations every day. Um, Basically, I'm trying to help them find housing, and so I'm doing like kind of a split, um, like kind of like case management. So I'm like advocate. I'm working with properties. I'm working with public housing. I'm, you know, doing like propelling them, helping propel them forward. And then I'm also um working with them as individuals, like kind of almost like more acute therapy to kind of keep them in, you can't start if their basic needs aren't met, like they don't have a stable place to live, they don't have enough resources for maybe food, or they're just kind of in chaos. We can't really do like start doing like deep therapy or like, kind of peeling back stuff like how did you get, how can we can't start working on all that until like some of their basic needs are met. So I do a lot of just more, I guess, I don't know, I call it like acute therapy, to just kind of get them keep them engaged, kind of figure out what's going on, like maybe help them with
Aha.
symptoms and stuff. And
So you
so,
sit there and you try to get information about them.
oh yeah, no, nonstop.
Okay. And
Lots.
I guess that information is really hard to get from them sometimes.
It can be just because there's so many, like, I think it's always hard for me to distinguish between actual mental health and then substance use. And, which comes first? What are these symptoms? Are these as a result of the substance use? Is this a mental health issue? Um, so just a lot of investigating, I feel like I do. And just kind of like really using my like, you know, I feel like I have a lot of intuition about certain things, and I just try to go about it. You obviously can't forcefully get to know somebody or forcefully have somebody open up to you. So I do establish rapport pretty well with pretty much every one of my clients. Like I'm very good at that. I'm very good at um, meeting them where they're at and making them um I mean, I think that all of my clients or almost all of them trust me. Um, and I work hard on that piece because when people feel safe, then they can open up a little bit more. And then, I encourage transparency. Um, I don't rush to fix or judge people. And, obviously I won't judge people, but anyway, I think that really works well. And then once we have that, then I think, we can, get some work done, you know, uh, and that works sometimes. And then, other times people are just really stuck and there's just not a lot of progress made. But I would say, um, I guess it's interesting because it's like, I'm almost feel like sometimes I'm working with like over and over again, I'm working with my ex-husband and almost
Mm-hmm.
being somebody to these, because a lot of them are men, a lot of them struggle with addiction, a lot of very similar circumstances. So it's almost like I kind of show up as like how I would hope that people have shown up for my ex. So that's not what totally drives me at all. And I don't want to work with homeless veterans forever. This was kind of like a shoe-in to the federal government, kind of like job, trying to get job security, get vested. I'm a single parent. I'm the financial provider for the three girls. Like, so like some of this is just, my own survival. And then hopefully eventually, I want to branch out and do less government-y type social work. But for now, this works well and it's really good experience. So um,
Okay. So again, we're going to focus on the Sun, Mercury, and Saturn conjunction in your 10th house, Scorpio.
okay.
Because if you think about it, or from what I understood, your job every single day is just to have conversations with these people.
Yep.
And it's a very slow, gentle, patient, cautious conversation. It's not like you're racing and it's excitement and it's fun. No, you guys are talking about real stuff. And
Yeah.
you're talking about how are you going to get them, like, how are you going to help them out, get their situation organized and orderly, right? So,
Yep.
if you think there is the Sun, Mercury, Saturn, right? Mercury, Saturn, for example, is having to establish rapport, which is a very long process, and you have to figure out how to talk to each of those people. And you can't just tell them everything and anything. You have to be cautious with what you say as well.
Yep.
I guess you also have to submit reports, right? So you have to write official reports and send them somewhere for
Yep.
government requirements, I guess,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay, there you see the Mercury Saturn exact conjunction again.
Huh.
Or if you think about, you're talking about, okay, so how can we get you help? Here's what you need to do. Here's where you need to go, right? That's all the energy of Saturn. When you're
Huh.
helping someone get their life together and get organized, that's Saturn, right? So that you're
Yeah.
always talking to them and trying to show them the way. And it's again, it's very slow. That's
Yeah.
Scorpio. Because Scorpio is a fixed sign and it's water. So think about it, that's very calm,
Yeah.
right? So trying to calm people down and be quiet and be more discreet and be very private and not share their information, all
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
And also just think of, I mean, you're talking to them about all the hardship that they've endured.
Right.
Mercury, Saturn, Scorpio, right? And all of the mental issues that they have, Scorpio, and all the stuff that's going on inside their psyche that you don't have access to and you can't figure out. So is it mental health or is it drugs or what's going on here? Mercury,
Right.
Saturn, Scorpio.
Huh.
Right. So do you see how it keeps showing up? And all the deep conversations that you have with those people,
Yep.
right? That's your everyday life is just dealing with people's garbage, basically. Like they're very
Yeah.
deep. Sun,
Yes.
Mercury, Saturn, Scorpio, 10th house,
Yes.
right? But you can see the same, like, if you think about your husband, ex-husband, pardon,
X. Yeah.
and your ex-husband is constantly drunk, constantly high, constantly doing something. From what I understood, he's just an addict, right? And so you can never get through to him. Like you
Yep.
always try to talk and you have all conversations and it's all the same thing again and again. You try, and there's nothing happening, right? So that it's constant frustration and not being
Yep.
able to get your point across and not have an actual conversation with someone,
Yep. Yeah.
right?
Like I
So
need like that depth and intensity, which is also interesting because I have a boyfriend of, well, I'd say we've been official for 2 years. Um, and he is more in a thinker, and he struggles with emotional expression. And so I feel like sometimes a lot pulling that out of him too. And but with patience, and I don't want to change. I don't want to change him, and I don't want to rush him. But that's another like theme, and and so it's been such a journey, to kind of sometimes, needing to discern and kind of scale back my, you know, I'm naturally like, as you said, with my work, like and all day long, like I'm in this, like, I don't know what the right word is, and the intensity, the getting stuff out of people, the really like, I mean, I wanna like speak soul level stuff with everybody, but I'm learning that not everybody is ready for that and not everybody wants to do that all the time. So that's been my like kind of like growth that I'm trying to do, but without not honoring that that's important to me. But
okay, I have a couple things on this.
okay.
So notice first of all, again, the exact Sun Mercury conjunction in Scorpio.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that you want to talk at soul level with everybody,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the Sun exact conjunction with Mercury, Mercury being communication, and in your case, it's about going soul level, Scorpio. Right? Most people couldn't care less about that. They don't want to go soul level.
Right.
Okay. But for you, it's like an everyday thing, that desire and that capacity also. And that naturalness, like it just naturally happens because it's the sun,
Yeah.
right? So it's like that's where your attention is all the time. Okay.
Yeah.
But you're learning, here comes Saturn. Not everybody wants those kinds of conversations. Not everyone has the capacity for that, right? So sometimes you can get blocked by other
Yep.
people also who don't want to talk to you about that stuff. And
Yep.
here, then if we remove the sun, and you just think about your seventh house cusp is in Gemini, right? So the ruler of your seventh house is Mercury, right?
Okay.
Again, Mercury's conjunct Saturn. The seventh house is your partner. So you've attracted another boyfriend who has a very hard time sharing. Mercury, Saturn, Scorpio.
Yep.
Okay, so it all makes sense, right?
Yep.
Okay. The other thing that kind of stands out to me is just now I'm thinking about your moon. And you can see that your moon is actually trine to your ascendant, and they're both in fire signs. And especially the moon in Leo um,
That made
lends to,
everything for me. When I found that out, I was like, oh my God, makes so much sense.
and why? What about that really spoke to
Oh,
you?
just my freaking need for validation.
Hmm.
Oh my God. I just
Okay.
want to be validated. I want to be adored. I want to be validated. And when I'm not, my pride is ruined. It is hurt. It is damaged. And then my scorpion stinger wants to come out, you know? And it's like, so that was like, that's a big missing piece. That was a big missing piece for me. Um, Oh, but yet I'm playful, I'm protective, you know, I'm very much identify with that moon. But that God, that the just the just the, you know, just the internal desire for that approval. Like I want my boyfriend to approve of me. I want him to like love me. Like I want him to touch me. I want him, you know, all these things that it make, but it's like it is in direct opposition of my scorpion because it's like my scorpion is like, you don't need that. You don't need, you know, you can do bad all by yourself kind of thing, you know. But my Leo wants that, you know, I don't know. That's how I feel. I don't know if that's correct, but it just feels like kind of like this opposition sometimes. And so that awareness when I found out that my moon was in Leo was like, oh, it makes a lot of
Okay.
sense.
You
And
know,
I didn't
because
want this I didn't want this from my ex, but I'm sure it showed up in other ways like, you know, I wanted him to know what I was doing for him basically. And so it's kind of like that just again, go like that validation piece is like, you know, I'm okay admitting it now, but it's like I wish I didn't have that, but it's like I do. And so and then even with, you know, so I'm really learning to validate myself, you know. That's my growth, I think, is just like really talking to myself a lot like you're doing a good job, like you're showing up, you're growing, you're a human, you're worthy, like you don't need that approval. But even looking back to my dad, I mean, my parents, I wanted their approval and I like lived for that approval. Like the thumbs up, like good job, Molly, good job, you know, and it's like if I didn't get that, then I didn't know how to give it to myself. And um so
why? What was it
yeah,
that
so
you wanted
seeking
their
outward.
approval for? Was there like was it sports? Was it school? Is there anything in particular that you really wanted them to approve?
No, and then it wasn't. It was I honest to God, it was like just like this, just validate me for am I doing okay? Like just validate am I like I don't know. I don't know. It wasn't anything specific fully. I mean, yeah, I wanted like the thumbs up in school. I wasn't like a great sports person, but no, there was nothing like specific. And then I think I had this really like when I became a teenager, I was like, I'm doing all these things and like I'm not I'm getting approval, but then it's like it's still never enough from my parents kind of thing. Like, oh, then they still found this wrong with me and they found this wrong with me and they're telling so then I was just like, well, fuck it. And I think that's when I started drinking because I felt
Mhm.
like I wasn't I just there's nothing I can do to, you know, get
Okay,
the
but that to
approval
me,
or be worthy enough. I don't know, something's flawed with me.
okay, that to me sounds like there is a core, of course, a series of core experiences that intrigues me. So,
Yeah.
that makes me ask so what is it that you wanted approval for that you didn't get it, and why was it never enough? Is it that they found things that are wrong with you? Is it that they didn't take interest in you? Is it they expected a lot from you?
They expected a lot. I don't feel like they took interest in me. I felt like they both wanted. I just always had this sense like, oh, like if I could just adjust this or adjust this, then maybe they would. I just felt like they didn't really accept me. And of course, like now how I parent, it's like I like look in, because of my all the stuff we were talking about earlier, like I do that with them. Like I look into their soul. Like I parent at like a soul level. Like I am so interested in how they work. I'm so interested in their brains and their hearts and like who they are as people. And my parents, God bless them, they're great people and they still are. And we have a great relationship now. But like they're not me. So they weren't in they, it was kind of like that. They weren't like, hey Molly, like what you doing? Like how are you doing? Like I didn't ever get asked like, how are you? I didn't get that like I think like attention like that genuine authentic attention that like wow you're really interested in me. I never got that. And so I think that because I didn't get that, I kind of made up scenarios as to why they weren't interested in me when really I know now they were just that's either A, not who they are, B, they were self absorbed into their own stuff, like as parents are. And I maybe needed more. I didn't know how to ask for more. And so I just kind of conformed to whatever, So it's like nothing like major, like there wasn't like abuse, there wasn't a neglect. Like I had everything I needed. We were middle class, normal family. It's just, I think I just needed based because of my because of who I am. Just never felt that authentic connection. And I also just felt like, yeah, I was like more of like a project and like, oh, I did this today. Oh, well, like you didn't clean your room, so it's like, yeah, like just nothing ever felt like it was good enough. I don't know. It sounds so cliche, but it's kind of
So
just how
they're
it was,
always
I guess.
telling, so
So,
what I'm hearing is that they're never totally happy with you, and you get more cold talk from, it's not like you get excitement and happiness and, oh, let's have a hug. It's more like, did you get your homework done? Did you clean
oh
your
yeah, no,
room? Did you
no
do well in
hugs.
school? Did you go to sports? That,
Yeah, it was just like a lot. It was
okay.
extremely rigid
Mm-hmm.
structure, rigid rules. TV was only, you could only watch a half hour TV. Oh, this is how we do it in our family. Blah 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 blah. And I, surprise, surprise, struggle in my adult life with that rebellion. I don't like rules. I don't like structure. I don't like rigidity. Um, and but yet, I'm glad I had it because it also did, shape me. It helped me. I mean, I needed that because it's not innate in me. Um, so
Hmm.
yeah, there was just not like the warmth that
Okay.
I wanted.
All the rigidity. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that makes me think again about the Sun Mercury Saturn conjunction. Okay.
Yeah.
The rigidity, the coldness, the hard talks, the no fun, and it's constant, I guess, because the sun is there. Right? So it's the everyday experience of being rejected. Yeah, being rejected.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Also the part about not no TV for only 30 minutes, right? So that's Mercury watching TV, and there's Saturn, right? No, you can't. You can only have 30 minutes. That's it.
Yeah.
Hmm. This makes me think about authorities being a big subject for you as well, like your boss at
The
work
40s.
or the government stuff that you have to. Authorities,
I hate it.
authorities.
Yeah. I hate it, but I play the game and I'm good at, but I have struggled. Uh-oh.
Everything fine?
Yep.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, there's one thing that I want to point out to you now.
Hmm.
By the way, if I just go back to your chart again, I feel like I should add that there's Pluto also in Libra there, because that Pluto in Libra makes me think about all the times and all the years you had spent trying to balance out your partner and how many ways
Yes.
that he brought you to hell, essentially, again and again.
Yes. To hell again and again. Yes.
The Pluto and Libra in your 10th house also makes me think about your social work in the sense that you're mediating between those people that are your clients and the government programs.
Yep.
Right. And so sometimes, obviously, those people can't be on a certain program. They don't qualify, for example. Help them, but you're not allowed to because that's how the rules are.
Yep.
Or maybe the help you're giving is imperfect and you know that it's not right, but that's all you can do.
Yep.
And so you can't, okay. Right. So there I see the stellium in all those points. And now I'm thinking about how, if we look at the transiting chart, so now I have your birth chart on the inside and the transiting chart on the outside, you'll notice
Okay.
that Pluto has reached 5 degrees of Aquarius. So obviously he's approaching 6 and 7 degrees, therefore the exact square to your Sun, Mercury, and Saturn. Now, obviously, that's about many things happening all like in symphony in your life, but what I heard that really stood out to me is that now you're playing the game of the Western system, and then once you
Y-
graduate and you're licensed, you would like to move away from being always dependent on the government jobs, right? So there's that Pluto square. I feel how you're in the process of renovating into a totally different route. Yeah. Does that make
Yes.
sense? Do you get
Yeah.
why?
Does it make sense what?
Pluto square and how you're planning to move away from that job you're in now. Like you don't want to be there forever and you already want to make a change, so you're working on it. You're planning for it. There's the Pluto square. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Huh. It's exactly. Yep. Like I'm really good at playing the game. And only more recently have I felt like, okay, if I play the game, then I'm going to be able to use my gifts in more unconventional ways to get to people's soul up. Like, again, sounds really cliche, but it's just like I feel like I have a gift of reaching people at their soul level and using some more unconventional ways of doing that, but still kind of needing that the rigidity of the government and all that too. And I don't know how to explain that, but yeah.
Got it.
Like, because
Mm-hmm.
I need that safety. I think it's like I need that
Right.
safety still, and the financial security and that safety, because that's what I've always known is like my parents worked for the government, I work for the government. Like it's really hard for me to like look outside of that, and be able to make money outside of that, like, and so I'm just feel like I'm preparing to be open to allowing myself to, make money. And so maybe it's like starting stuff like work on the side, you know.
Okay. Totally. Okay. So you can even see that Pluto has just entered your second house. Right. So the situation here with regards to your change of work is like you want desperately to be done with the rigidity of the government, but you also rely on it for your safety. And now you want to just, I don't know, find a way in between. And therefore, it's all about how are you going to make money.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm. And I guess you're already, because Pluto is pretty close. So that tells me there's already projects underway. There's already
Yeah.
things that you're trying.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I'm not trying, I'm not like actionably trying anything yet. I have a lot of ideas, but it's like I'm really having I'm an ideas person. It's like um putting that into actionable is kind of the harder part for me. So like that's like kind of my boyfriend's like, well, you have this idea, so what's your next plan? What's your next step? What's this? You know, because he's more rigidly structured, you know, and I'm like, oh, it can all just work out, you know, it's just gonna work out. No, I know this person, and you know, and it's like I'm trying to kind of get into that structure and discipline and like putting in kind of the steps and like having a plan or a business plan or you know starting to think about that type of stuff to like help my ideas become a reality or help me you know make that side money that I have the potential of making. But yeah.
Hmm. Okay, but you haven't there's no movement there yet. Or?
well well I would say the movement is that I scheduled my exam date for June 9th. So that's a huge step for me. So I got through all of that bureaucratic paperwork, right? And I had to do a few extra like some extra hours of CEU hours, continuing education hours. Anyway, I did all that. I was really resistant to it and then I'm like, "What why are you being resistant? This is your next step." So I did all that and I just literally paid and signed up to take the exam June 9th. So that's I feel like cuz that's the next thing that needs to happen. You know, like I have to have that clinical, like I have to have those initials after my name to do everything else that I want to do. So there
Okay.
has been movement. It's just not like this is kind of still, I'm still in like that foundational, like setting the foundation still, I guess.
Okay, that makes me think about how Pluto will not even reach 6 degrees before he goes retrograde. So
Okay.
then he's going to retrograde and then he's going to move forward. And I guess next year he's going to make the exact square to your
Okay.
Sun, Mercury, and Saturn, right? So then there immediately that gives me the timeline of like now you're getting the initials, right? So you're upscaling your value in a way. You're
Yeah.
becoming more valuable by having, right? So
Yeah.
there's also Pluto in the second house. Right, you're
Okay.
getting this license, and then you're going to be able to do something different, and so that makes sense. Like 2027 is when you would start to maybe take on other clients, or I don't know, just have more
Yeah.
movement in
Okay.
that direction. Okay, does that make
That
sense?
makes that, I
Why?
mean, that feels like a realistic timeline. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Hmm.
Huh.
There's one other thing that stood out to me. You said that you're co-parenting with your ex-husband,
Yes.
and he still does drugs and relapses. That's what I heard.
His most recent one was January. Like it was like a few days and it was I have things in place now. Like I ask for like a drug test and I ask, you know, like I have all the power, you know, and the legal power and everything with him. But um it's just it's really hard. It's really draining to co-parent with him. And then because he has like no boundaries and I'm, you know, putting boundaries on him and he has a hard time with that. The also hard thing is that he really, him and my girls, they have a good relation. Like he's loves his kids and he really wants to be involved with them. But that also, and he's like emotionally present for like, so I'm really grateful for that part. You know, like they don't have like the daddy issues, like abandonment, like, oh, I'll come pick you up and then doesn't show up or whatever. Um, it's more like for me, like I can't a lot like if it was up to him, he'd be like he would just randomly come pick him up whenever and he would have him till whenever. Like there would be like it's just he has no structure in his life. And so and then he also like has struggled always like with finances. He's struggled with having a place to live. So really right now he doesn't have the girls overnight. So he kind of has them like Saturdays, and then Sunday he takes them to church or whatever. And he maybe has them like on a Wednesday night. um, but it's just that's been a big, I mean, I've come a long way. A long way with him, but it's always a source of some anxiety. And then I have my boyfriend who, now I share a life with, and he really needs kind of more structure, and he needs to understand, okay, well, what's the schedule? What's the schedule for the weekend so that, we can plan stuff. And so I feel like I'm kind of always trying to please Kyle and having his time with the girls, and then my boyfriend having his time, having some predictability. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so and I'm like kind of like constantly like overwhelmed. And so it's like I want to just whenever Kyle can take the kids, I want him to take the kids. But I understand Ryan's point that Kyle needs boundaries and he needs like limits. And so I need to have a planned schedule for the week. And so it's like
Oh,
that's very fair to me. So anyway,
oh,
um
wait, this is
yeah,
very
I
interesting
guess
what you're saying.
there's not a lot of there's not full peace around the co-parenting stuff yet, but it's
Oh yeah.
okay. It's
Okay, I totally get it. Okay, here's a few things I want to point out to you. So
yeah.
first of all, again, I'm going to the Mercury Saturn conjunction, Mercury being the lord of your seventh house of partnerships. And you
Yep.
said two things. One of them, you have to constantly set boundaries with
Hmm.
Kyle, right? So
Yep.
there's Mercury Saturn. The second thing that Ryan needs to know the schedule, needs to see the reasoning, needs to have the order, right?
Yes.
So there's the Mercury Saturn conjunction and how it works in both of them. But notice that in this case, your Mercury Saturn is conjunct Pluto in Libra. So think about the effort that it takes for you to meet the needs of Kyle, Ryan, yourself, and your girls,
Yeah.
right? And all of the scheduling that you have to figure out between them and all of the mess that is between you and Kyle and how much energy it takes you. So there's the Pluto in Libra coming out. Okay.
Thank you.
Does that
Yes.
make sense? Okay, good. And notice that
Beyond.
this is connected to your moon in the eighth house. Now, the eighth house is the house of shared resources. Therefore, it's the house of co-parenting, right?
Ooh,
So you can see the moon is in your eighth house. Therefore, that co-parenting journey is connected to Pluto.
okay.
Okay, and there for me is all of the hullabaloo that is constant with Kyle. And then also if I bring in the Neptune part that is sitting directly on your ascendant,
Mm-hmm.
together with Pluto and the moon, because you see they make like a triangle of sorts here.
Yeah.
So this part for me is that Kyle has no boundaries and he had no home and he was on drugs and he was unpredictable and now you're overwhelmed because there's just so much to take care of and it's kind of not clear. And sometimes he just wants to take them now or today and there's no order, which is not okay for Ryan. Yeah, so there I feel the Neptune coming in, kind of the disorder and the chaos
Yes.
that is in this co-parenting. So there we have how these five planets are working together.
Wow. Is
Okay.
there
So
any
that
end in sight for that one?
well, okay, there's an interesting part that you mentioned. It's like, well, things are getting put in place, but it's not like you've totally figured out the system. So that makes me think about how Uranus transiting your fifth house
Yeah.
of kids is
Yeah.
squaring your moon and has been for the past year and a half, let's say. Right? But now Uranus is moving away. He's not going to come back to 27 degrees of Taurus again, right? So that makes me think about how it was very rocky in the first place. Probably there were many situations with the co-parenting that were uncomfortable for everyone involved. But now that Uranus is moving away, it's like there's some stability being established. So maybe at least that part is going to improve in the next couple months.
Yeah. Well, and I do feel like because this is this past year 100% it's been literally exactly a year since I really I instituted the drug testing. I've really held Kyle accountable if he relapses. I have like set punishments in that I take the girls away. I talk to the girls about it's not a punishment for your dad. It's because when people are in addiction, they need consequences. And I also need, you guys don't need to be around chaos in his brain if he's using. So anyway, yeah, that makes so much sense. And I also feel that, I just feel a little bit internally that I think things are getting better, but I just never know because he's been doing this to me. I mean, we've just been in this cycle for a decade, So it's hard, but it's like I just have to keep reminding myself that like I've set up systems and they've been really uncomfortable to set up, but I've set up systems with the help of Ryan. I would have never done this, been able, I shouldn't say that, but it does feel like it would have been harder for me to like come to this on my own. Like I really appreciate the help that Ryan, like the perspective that Ryan's had. And so I think that with the system set in place and like the consistency that I've at least been having, I hope that, I hope that we're moving away from, so as you said, Uranus is moving away.
Yeah, from the moon, right? Because the moon is in the eighth house, Uranus is
Yeah.
transiting the fifth. So you have the subject of co-parenting and the subject of children, and there's constant tension there happening over that past year. So something
Yeah.
that continuously
Constant.
develops and is exactly. Now, look at something else that's interesting. That's the last thing I'll show you for today, is
Uh-huh.
that Jupiter, this entire period for the past
Yeah.
year as well, has been transiting your seventh house in Cancer. This makes me think about Ryan stepping in and giving you a very helpful perspective and really cooperating with you in order to make the whole family situation actually work out. So, and also that your relationship with Kyle, as I hear it, has been improving significantly so that you guys can be some kind of a family, right? So
Yeah.
there's Jupiter and Cancer in your seventh house. This has been the year where you really get close to your partners and you try to
Mhm.
do the family thing together.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And it's about, accepting. I really had to accept that Ryan wanted to help me. Like I was trying to protect Ryan from a lot of this. And he was like, no, I'm a part of this. You know, I'm like, we're a team. And I'm not used to being on a team, you know? I wasn't on a team ever
Mm.
with Kyle, ever. And so like having Ryan, really be on my team, as uncomfortable of it, it was extremely and still is sometimes very uncomfortable because it's like I want to shield him or I want to just, I'll take care of it. I'll do it. I'll do it. I got this under control. That's how I've operated. I don't want to bring anybody else into this, but that's not how it works in a relationship, in a healthy relationship. And so I've just really had to be brave and accept the help and try things that I haven't tried. And that's kind of what I said to him, I was like, I will try things your way because how I've been doing things that hasn't been working with Kyle. And so I think we have made, some improvement, obviously. And so yeah, that's really interesting. So yeah.
Hmm. Okay, so you feel the Jupiter's transit through the seventh. Now that you think about it and talk about it, you see how it's
Very much
expressed
so.
through Ryan. Okay, good,
Yeah. Yeah.
good. Okay, let's pause here for today.
Yeah.
So, what did you think about that?
It was awesome. Like really insightful. And like kind of like duh. I mean, it makes sense. It's kind of just confirming, I guess is the right word. And gives me like, a little sense of peace, I guess, that my life is unfolding as it should, and I am learning the lessons that I need to learn, and doing the work and growing and all that stuff. So pretty cool.
Okay, very good. Um, I'm gonna stop recording here, and then we're gonna
Okay.
talk just for a couple more minutes off camera, off
Okay.
record. So,
Sounds good.
to everyone that's listened, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode of People and Planets. So, Molly and I are signing out. Okay.
Bye.